Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 21st day of February in the year 2023. Sure hope you're enjoying your, I was going to say Monday, Tuesday, no matter where it is you are in the country. Here in the Northeast, sort of a gray and dreary day, a little chilly. We've been spoiled this winter, have we not? I mean, with these 60, 70-degree days in February and January, but just really that one cold spell in the beginning of the month. But who knows? We still got plenty of time left in this winter, so we can only hope that it stays this way for the foreseeable future. But I hope you're all enjoying your day. And as you do every Tuesday afternoon, you welcome me into your homes so that I can bring you this week's news. And as we've been doing for the last couple of weeks, we will start off with a brief commentary. And this is something that caught my eye a couple of days ago because it was so brutal in nature. As we welcome in our good friend Manny Ventoso Jr. Good afternoon, Manny. Thank you for popping in as you do so often. I was watching the news over the weekend, and I don't remember what it was, but I saw this story appear about a man, his teenage children, and wife, who were all found dead in an apartment in a home in Linden. And I just thought, oh my goodness, this got to be one of these terrible, terrible situations. Maybe it was a break in or whatever, but I never for a second really thought that it would be that the two children, both of whom were teenagers, and the woman were all murdered by their father and husband. And that's exactly what it turned out to be in this case in Linden. He apparently killed the two teenage children first, then went on and killed his wife. And before he killed himself, the latest reports in the New York Post were that he picked up the phone and called a relative to say, hey, listen, I want you to know I just killed my wife and the two kids. And then when that phone call was over, he took his own life, which is what most cowards do, instead of just doing it the other way around. And I want to get into that because the chief of police in Linden is somebody who I don't know. His last name is Hart. As we welcome in Henry Atwell. Henry, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. The chief said this. He said, imagine how bad it had to be for this guy, where he felt that the only solution to whatever he was going through, let's be realistic, there had to be something going on here, up here for him, to kill his two teenage children, 14 and 13, and then his wife. I mean, come on, something had to be wrong. And what escapes this whole thing is that if he had a serious mental health issue, which he clearly did, he felt he had nowhere to turn, probably, to get the help that he needed to get out of whatever situation he was in. We can speculate to Timbuktu on this. It could have been financial, it could have been something with his job, who knows? But he thought that the easiest solution to the situation that he found himself in was to kill his wife, his two children, and then take his own life. And the chief was devastated by this. And he was devastated by this because he said, it's 2023, and there are ways to get out of terrible mental health crises. We became a stigma-free zone in Kearney a couple of years ago. And before that, Lyndhurst, North Darlington, and a whole bunch of the surrounding towns became stigma-free zones. And yet, still to this day, there are so many people in this world who don't realize or refuse to realize that if you have a mental health crisis, if you are depressed, if you are struggling with substance abuse, suicide is never the proper answer. And there are so many resources out there. There is actually a suicide hotline now, 988, just the way 911 is to get into an emergency. All you have to do is pick up the phone and dial 988, and somebody's going to be on that line to help you right away. And there's nothing wrong with stopping and admitting, hey, I got a problem. I got to get this fixed. I need to do better. I need to feel better. I need to feel more in tune with the world. But this guy didn't do that. He took the life of his 2 children. He took the life of his wife, but he was afraid to admit he had a problem. I've spoken freely about depression. I've had it since I was in high school. I've had it since I was in high school, and it took me until my mid-20s before I finally addressed it, because there were times where people would say, you're a man, suck it up, you'll do better, you'll feel better, you know. But eventually I realized I couldn't, because it's a chemical problem. It wasn't something I brought on. It was just something that existed in my world, and I had to take medication for it, and I had to see doctors for it. And I'm not embarrassed by that, because I've never felt better. Do I have my moments? Of course. Anybody who knows me will know that I'm a hermit now. I don't go out that much as I used to. Some of that because of COVID, but some of that because I just don't care to. So the bottom line, though, is this, that when you address it, there are answers and there are resources. The police department has resources. The fire department has resources. Towns have resources. So many resources are out there if you're struggling with a mental health crisis. For kids, in school, there are so many programs and things of that nature. There is no reason, there's never a reason why suicide is the ultimate answer. But for this one man in Linden, killing his 2 children, and then his wife, and then himself, was the only answer he had. And unfortunately, he didn't know that there was no reason for him to have to do that, because the help is out there. And there's nothing wrong ever admitting you've got a problem. And there's nothing wrong admitting you need the help that you cannot give to yourself. And when you get that help and you start to feel better, you realize that those days were just an anomaly. And that when it gets better and you realize that you can live a normal life without feeling sad all the time or angry all the time, it doesn't get much better than that. So please, if you're out there and you're watching this and you know someone, or you are the one who is struggling with depression or with an addiction or with any kind of mental issue, don't do that. Seek the help. Ask a friend. Ask me, I'll help you. There's no reason to turn the gun on yourself. Not now. There never was, and never will there ever be. It is 40 minutes past the hour. Kevin Knessa here with you on this edition of The Observer Live. Thank you to everybody who is here today. Welcome in Kenny Evans, who is watching from home, and our friend Melanie Ryan, too, who is probably watching from home. So we want to thank you guys for popping on today, along with Manny and Henry Atwell. I want to get this off the screen here for a second, and I'm going to pop up this week's newspaper. There are 3 stories on the front page this week, and the first one is the Dutch Reformed Church in Belleville. You all know it. You see it every time you cross the bridge. Even if you don't cross the bridge, you can see it from Kearney and North Arlington. And you know, if you've lived here for a long period of time, that place is always falling apart. Well, Mike Perrone, who is the president of the Belleville Historical Society, is putting together a fundraiser. And this is something that has been near and dear to his heart and to the Belleville Historical Society's heart for a long period of time. And they're trying to raise money because they had to erect, I don't know if you can tell from the picture on the screen, but there is a scaffolding around the steeple, and it was $60,000 alone just for the scaffolding. So they're looking to raise about 75,000 more so that they can do more repair work and pointing to the steeple and then save the church because the town was ready to condemn it and knock the place down. And don't forget that that church was built in the 1600s. I mean, George Washington passed in front of that building, literally. So I don't think anybody would be. I don't think anybody would say with a right mind, "I'd love to see that church go." So Mike Perone put this GoFundMe together, and they're looking to raise 75,000. And hopefully, out there is somebody with a very, very generous checkbook, or a bunch of people with checkbooks who are willing to donate. And I hope you'll check it out on page number 1 because it really would be a shame to see that church go that has been there for so many generations and that has a cemetery with people who were fighting in the Revolutionary War for the United States of America. So good luck to Mike Perone. Thank you to Mike Perone for undertaking this, and let's hope that the place is saved. Now, starting this weekend and next weekend as well, Drop Dead comes to the Watco stage. And the good news is it will all be taking place at their brand new theater in Harrison at the former school Holy Cross. And we are so happy to everybody who got this, who was able to, to Brandy Lee Miller and to Jerry Facito and all the gang over at Watco for being able to secure this space. They finally have their own home now, and a true elevated stage where the performers will be able to go out and have a great time and people will be able to come and see a phenomenally produced show. And for the last couple of weeks, the actors and the members of the Watt board, along with many volunteers, including a lot of young people, have been over at Holy Cross working to get the place in working and clean order, and they have been busting their butts to get the place ready for opening night, which is Friday night at 7 o'clock, I want to say. And they're going to have a ribbon cutting on Thursday evening at 5:30 to officially open the place as their new space, and let's just hope that it stays that way for a long period of time. They've been bounced all over. They were at Oakwood Baptist, they were at Modern Day Academy, the old St. Stephen's School, they were at the church on Kearney Avenue, 380, that I can't even think of right now. They've been just the East Newark Senior Center. They need a consistent location, and they finally got it. And the first program of the year is Drop Dead. And my dear friend and perhaps your podiatrist, John Brandwell, has a big role in this production. And I know he's going to be so good at this because if there's ever somebody who was born to be on stage, it's John Brandwell. And I'm not trying to take away, this is by no means a way to take away anything that anybody else who's in the program is going to be able to perform like, but John is just so good at this. And this is a pretty raucous show, too. It's a raw show, and there are some words that they actually had to pull out of it because they're so vile that they didn't want to have people hearing some of these words. So I think it's going to be a phenomenal production, and it'll be over the next 2 weekends at the new theater at the former Holy Cross School. Tickets are only $20 for adults, $15 for senior citizens and students, and they have been working relentlessly to prepare for the show. And I know the theater itself, the school, is in great condition thanks to the scores of volunteers who went down there to get the place in order. So if you have no plans this weekend, get yourself over to Holy Cross School and the Watt Theater and watch a rendition of Drop Dead and watch John Brandwell be as hilarious as he is in person on the big stage. The last front page story, Chief Richard Jarvis and Paul Haggerty, Lieutenant Paul Haggerty of the Lyndhurst Police Department, were all given certification for accreditation for I think it's the New Jersey State Association of Chief of Police. It's a very, very prestigious honor that Chief Jarvis and Lieutenant Haggerty both attained, and they're only among small percentage of police officers in the state of New Jersey who have achieved this accreditation. Not many guys go through it for whatever reason. I don't know, but Richard and Paul both got this accreditation, and it's certainly a good resume builder, but it really shows that what they're doing over at the Lyndhurst Police Department is very, very serious, and they're taking their leadership roles very, very seriously. So we say to the chief and to lieutenant, congratulations on attaining this incredible honor, and congratulations to the overall department for doing some fantastic work over there in Lyndhurst. So that's this week's front page. There's plenty of other stuff inside the paper this week that I hope you'll pick it up to read it about. And Jason has 3 sports stories, a whole bunch of things going on. No athlete of the week this week, but it's state tournament time in basketball, and a lot of things are happening in wrestling tournaments and things of that nature. So don't forget to check that out when you get a chance. Melanie just said next weekend, too. I did mention that earlier, that it's the next 2 weekends, but I apologize if I forgot to say that the show is over the next 2 weekends, just at the end there. But check out the sports section, and then, of course, in classified, 2 pages, jobs, apartments. More apartments lately. I don't know, maybe people are starting to move finally. But, God, some of these rents. Where do you see some of these rents if you take a look? Some of the rents are... I can't believe it. I just don't know how some people can afford to live in some of these places around here. And we're not even talking new developments either. So I'm happy I am where I am, and I know I am not going anywhere. So we'll see. But that's about it for this week's edition of the Observer Live. Nobody decided to beam in today, so that's fine. Eventually somebody's going to do it. Well, I'm going to just show you before I go. All right, look at that. How do I do it? I'm sort of pointing at it. That little QR code there on the left-hand side of your screen. All you have to do is take your phone and open the camera, right? I'm going to just show you here. I got the camera open. You probably can't really see, sorry. And scan that QR code with the camera. Of course, it's just going to give me a hard time right now because I probably didn't make it big enough, but I'm going to make this a little bit bigger right now. Maybe that's why it's not working, because it's not big enough. And we'll get this out of the way. Okay. Yeah, now it works. All right, now, then you click on it, and it'll ask if you want to take your camera and allow access to it. I say allow. I'm going to put in a fake name here right now and just show you. Just put in John because it's easier. Hit done and then join. Now there's going to be like a lot of feedback, so I'm going to mute all of that. And then very easily. Whoa. Sorry about that. I'm sure that's just delightful for you to hear. I'm going to put this person on the air. You'll see how easy it really is. Of course, I can't get it done right now because I wanted to do this, but you get the point. You can easily join the show from now on. I hope many of you will, and it just didn't work out so right there, but that's because I'm doing it to myself. But that'll do it for this overall edition of the Observer Live. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today. Thank you to Manny Ventoso, Henry Atwell, Kenny Evans, Melanie Ryan, Eileen Matthew, who's watching over on YouTube, for joining us. And to anybody who may have been silent in the chat room today, thank you as well. We will be back 1 week from today. If anything breaks, we will join you then. And until then, I hope to see you back here again very, very soon. From the newsroom of theobserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now. Have a good rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Take care.